am Sam Schachter for the EMSV TV, and we are at Career Fair. So could you tell us a little bit about RTC, or Rosemount Technology Center? Tell us a little bit about your career programs at RAC, the Recording Arts Canada. This is Tim, and he works for Global. Can you tell us a little bit about your career path? And you just attended the Career Fair, so can you tell us how you felt about it? Was anything interesting to you?
Okay, well, I like the engineering. It really stood out to me.
Do you know really anything that you would like to do after high school?
Maybe move on to college.
Move on to college, yeah.
So do you feel that this career fair or this college fair is going to be helpful?
Oh yes, absolutely. It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
So how did you get into this career?
Well, I was very fortunate. I did have another career. I was doing a lot of coaching, and then I decided this is really what I love to do, working with the young generation, the future of the world. And so I went back, and the EMSB, back in the day, the PSBGM, helped me get my degree in education, and I've never looked back, 17 years.
So my name is Aphrodite Salas. I'm a reporter at CTV Montreal, and I've been there for several years, at CTV Montreal for about 8 years, but I've worked for CTV across the country, in Montreal, in Ottawa, in Toronto, in Kitchener-Waterloo, and in Saskatoon.
So how did you get into it?
At the beginning, when I was doing my undergraduate degree, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and I did an undergrad in political science and history. After that degree, I did a degree in public administration because I was interested in the political process, but I wasn't sure how to parlay that into a career. At some point, I took an elective writing course towards the end of my undergraduate degree, and luckily, I actually started publishing in some of the newspapers and getting paid for it. And my professor at that time said, listen, I think you might have a chance at making this into a career. And it's not something that I ever considered before, but it was, through the course of my university education that I sort of realized, wow, I think I have a skill set that can be parlayed into a career that I didn't consider initially.
I find that so interesting because I've spoken to other people in the media, and they've all known what they're good at, which it seems to be for you writing and being able to speak very well, and in their own way they've all made it to sort of their path. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're interested in?
Well, myself, I've been looking to go into social studies and trying to get into law school to go into corporate law. And I really got turned on to it by one of my fellow graduates from last year. He was just talking to me about what he's going to do with his life, and he was telling me how on average corporate lawyers make around like $75,000 a year. That's like for an average lawyer, you don't even have to be that good, but I'm of course aiming to be one of the better ones.
So the money is a good aspect in your career choices.
Well, yeah, of course, and that often comes up a lot in conversations with people. They tell me, do what you love, but then I tell them I like making money, in a sense.
I really like that you're honest.
Sure, well, I'm a news reporter, and I started many years ago. I studied journalism, broadcast journalism at Concordia University, did a double major in journalism and political science. After I graduated, I struggled for a little bit trying to get a job. I worked in radio off and on for about a year. Then I landed a job at CBC Television News in Newfoundland and spent a summer doing that. From there, though, it was only a summer position. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, so I registered to do my Master's of Journalism at Carleton. But just as I did that, I got a job offer in Burlington, Vermont to work for Channel 5, the NBC affiliate. So I went down there for a while. And then from there, my contract expired, and then I got an offer to come up to Global in Sherbrooke, Quebec, and I worked there, and then I eventually made my way back to Montreal, so it sort of came full circle.
That's really interesting because it seems that you were sort of everywhere at once. How did you do that? Did you pass out your CV everywhere?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a lot of applications, a lot of knocking on doors and trying to just get in with the right people and at the right time. But like I said, the first year was a struggle.
So which type of people do you think are suited for this career?
Well, people who are really interested in the news and have a big sense of politics and news issues and current affairs, and they like to read, and they're just interested in world events or current events and what's going on, and they're inquisitive, and they just want to be part of of change and getting involved in things like that.
So technically, to also be an unbiased part of the change, that's really interesting.
So just looking around, Dawson is basically my number one choice, and everything's super confusing, so I'm just looking around.
I also want to go into literature and writing and that sort of thing, which is why I picked up the Dawson one, because I like their program the best. And yeah, but I like seeing everything as well, like it's really cool.
Because I also have a strong interest in the music stuff, and I saw Vanier had a big influence in the music stuff. They had one of the categories, whereas all the other places that have music, they didn't showcase it that much, but Vanier was one of the good ones for music, I find, and I also would like to go into music as well if I could have.
It's just helpful to have everything like in one place, I guess. Like it's really convenient to see everything at once.
I want to ask you, who do you think would be, good in a news center? Who do you think would suit it? What type of person?
I think to be a good journalist, the number one trait is curiosity. I think you need to be genuinely curious about other people around you, about their stories, their experiences, and about current events. You can't really be a journalist to tell other people's stories if you're not interested, right? So I think curiosity is a major trait that is, absolutely non-negotiable. You got to be really genuinely curious. You also need to be able to synthesize complicated information and make it simple and communicate a message clearly. That's very important as well. And also work under pretty tight deadlines too.
And can you tell the students of high school right now looking into different colleges, could you give them a little bit of advice?
I think my advice would be to start thinking about what you would like to study, what your interests are, what you value. Start researching the CEGEPs in the Montreal area. Are you looking for a larger school or a smaller school? So get started early.
And so part of your career is, of course, being very verbal about everything, and communication-wise, it's very important. So how would you sort of help, the future generations to become more confident in front of a camera?
Doing exactly what you're doing, doing internships, getting involved at the high school level with local TVs. It wasn't around when I was there, but working for the student newspaper, doing stuff online through social media, Facebook and Twitter, have your own accounts, posting stuff on YouTube. If you can set up with iPhones today, you can shoot your own material, and you can set up a little edit suite on your home computer and do your own things and just start covering things that are happening in your own neighborhood. If you live at home, just find out what's happening in your own neighborhood and start covering local events, from your library down the street to your school to the bus stop, and just start getting involved that way and start building up some credibility and just a reputation of that your name is out there.
Do things like write for the school newspaper, volunteer as much as possible in different groups, and sort of find your way initially like that. It's also important, I think, if you want to be a journalist, not to pigeonhole yourself immediately. So I think, if you want to be a journalist, you should learn about something other than journalism first. Get some sort of an expertise, some sort of education, and then do a journalism degree, or perhaps a graduate degree in journalism, or a certificate that can teach you the skills. An undergrad degree is also extraordinarily useful, but maybe do the undergrad with another focus as well, like maybe a double major in journalism and political science or something like that. I think it's important to keep your options open and to get a good education.
And so when you're thinking of the students that would be currently going into this sort of career path, what would you like to say to them?
Well, I'd like to say what they've heard as well today is even if you choose a career that you may not start out with, you don't know if that's the career you're going to end with. There are a lot of options. Seek, ask advice, get help, guidance counselors, friends, family, network, and choose something that you're really passionate about, because really, if you love what you do, it's not going to feel like it's work.